So we'll get started, everyone. So thank you for joining us today and welcome for our Making Tax Digital webinar. Working with Sempar, we have three great speakers, so I'll pass straight over to James. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Morning all, James from Sempar Accountancy. I'm going to be one of the hosts today along with Brad and Ludia. And today this is a webinar just to get you abreast of some changes around Making Tax Digital, and also just a bit of a recap of what it is and what HMRC's overall aim is with the sort of Making Tax Digital program. So the agenda today, at first, we're going to, like I said, recap on MTD. We're going to then go into the importance of digital adoption for businesses in across the country and Staffordshire. We're then going to touch on what changes have been made to Making Tax Digital for that, as that's the only area at the moment where Making Tax Digital is applicable. How to sign up for Making Tax Digital, and then we'll just briefly touch on what to look out for in terms of when you're choosing the right accounting system. And then we're going to touch on a mini demo of Xero, which is a platform which we use for some clients. However, there's many different platforms out there as well. And then finally, we'll just touch on the roadmap and to show you what HMRC's plans are for the future in terms of Making Tax Digital. So if anyone's got any questions at all as well, please just fire them in the comment section or the chat section. We'll pick up them at the end. And just to then touch on the recap of Making Tax Digital. Obviously, HMRC's aim is to be a really progressive firm, and obviously they want to digitalize all of their tax affairs. And in doing this, they've started with that, but their aims are to move on to all the other taxes as well. And their ambition with that is to obviously become one of the most advanced administrations in the world. And these changes impact all the businesses in and across the country, and they will come into effect over the next coming years. Obviously, with Making Tax Digital, that being introduced 2 years ago, that was the one we're most familiar with at the moment. But yes, if we can move on to the next slide, please. So why is digital adoption important? Obviously, digital adoption is the way of the future, and adapting to new technologies and fully leveraging all of its features is imperative to the modern, to be more of a modern organization when it comes to digital transformation. Some businesses may be reluctant to embrace change, that may be for many different reasons, potentially over uncertainty of outcome, or just not knowing where to start. There are a lot of benefits to being more digitally acceptance to change, and these are some of them here. Obviously, increased efficiency and productivity via the use of improved technology and better systems that communicate together, improved customer service, better resource management, potential saves for monetary gains, and greater agility for adaptation in your day-to-day business environment. Oh, we just skipped a slide, sorry.
Yep.
Additional benefits to digital change, obviously potential to increase revenue with efficiency saves. You can have the ability to make better decisions, and you can collaborate easier and stay competitive and relevant. So here are some steps that you can take to start your digital journey. These are the three sort of areas we would advise to look at whenever you're looking at doing sort of a digital change in your business. So these can be really great tools to help you evaluate what apps or what technology you should introduce into your business, and whether or not that should be the right app for you. So number one, you could use a decision matrix to help compare all of the options. A really good tool to be able to see where your business needs are and also where apps would fit into those areas. Carrying out pre-mortem, so really diving into the apps and looking at any challenges that may come about by implementing them into your business. And a ratio cost-benefit analysis, so summarizing the added value that new technology would bring against the cost of that, and weighing up what option would be best. And these are just some of the ways and methods that you can go about evaluating apps and systems. Ultimately, it might just be a gut feel that you might want to make a decision on, but you should use all the tools in your armory, so to speak, to make the best decision. So most of you will already be aware of MTD for VAT for businesses. It's been in place for 2 years now. However, there's a slight change this coming April, and it's been 2.5 years since we actually went live with VAT. So since the initial start, businesses with a turnover above £85,000 a year that obviously are over the VAT threshold have been tasked to do this via Making Tax Digital for some time now. However, from April 2022, business owners who charge VAT with taxable turnover below the £85,000 threshold, so essentially voluntarily opted for VAT, or there may be other reasons, will need to comply with Making Tax Digital. If they haven't already, affected businesses will soon be receiving letters to inform them of this change. This will affect and impact around 1.1 million small businesses across the UK. So what does this mean? Small business owners still submitting VAT via the HMRC portal or post will soon have to maintain records digitally. So they're going to have to switch and change to a modern solution, and obviously file VAT returns via this solution. Otherwise, they could be hit with unwanted fines or additional challenges from HMRC that obviously you don't want to raise their attention on. Ahead of the April 2022 deadline, it's crucial that impacted businesses begin their Making Tax Digital preparations now, so that when they come to the deadline, they are all geared up and ready to be compliant with HMRC. So these are a list of some of the records that you must now keep digitally if you are, this is for Making Tax Digital for VAT. If you are now VAT registered in any way, because from April 2022, businesses below the £85,000 threshold will also need to adhere to this. So obviously you can see some of these on here. I won't go into them all. Some of them obviously some basic information. Ones that I probably would pick out are your sort of ones where there's some sort of technical areas, such as any adjustments that you make must be then named on the return, or your daily, your total daily gross takings if you use the retail scheme, which we won't go into now. But obviously, if you need any further assistance after today's webinar, you can always contact us or get in touch with your advisor to assist with this. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So changes to MTD. So obviously, before you sign up, what do you need? So to make sure that you're compliant with all of the lists that we just touched on before, most accounting softwares out there now will make sure that all of that information is on there and are MTD compliant. So that is a massive added bonus as to why you should use a modern digital accounting system. Gone are the days of really manual records of Excel. Although it's still an option, you can use Excel still. There are softwares out there that bridge Excel with Making Tax Digital and make it compliant with HMRC regulations. However, it's much more advisable to just get the added benefits of a modern accounting system where you can be compliant with MTD, but it's not just about being compliant. It's also about getting the added value as well from being digital and digitizing your business. And there's many different systems now you can plug into these accounting systems to really streamline businesses and processes. So definitely the right option is to go digital if you've not done so already. But it's worth noting that you can be compatible without going to digital, essentially, with the accounting softwares. But as always, talk to us if you need assistance with anything. So how to go about signing up for MTD if you've not done so already. You'll need your email address, your government gateway ID, and your VAT registration number. You'll also need your national insurance number if you're a sole trader, or your company unique taxpayer reference if you're a limited company, or your unique taxpayer reference if you're a partnership or registered for self-assessment. And then your unique taxpayer reference postcode and where you registered for self-assessment, and your company's registration number if you're in a limited partnership. So when to sign up, this is really important if you've not signed up already. You definitely need to pay attention to this, as to avoid paying VAT twice. So obviously you need to it's advisable to do this around your current VAT return, so not in the build up to the deadline. Especially if you're on direct debit, as often it can create a double payment essentially, and you don't want to be paying that twice. Although you can just get it refunded or credited against the account, you don't want to be paying your double VAT to HMRC. And to be able to avoid this, make sure that you register for MTD 7 days before your return is due at least, or 5 days after your return is due, and essentially you've paid it and filed it. If you don't pay by direct debit, please do it at least 3 days before your return is due, and likewise do it 3 days after as well. But as always, it's best just to give yourself as much time as possible. So if you, the more time you can give yourself essentially to do this, the better. But as a minimum, please just adhere to those timings to avoid a duplication of your VAT. So when it comes to choosing the right accountancy software, it's often a bit of a minefield and what actually they will offer you.
Just on that, James, do you want me to just take over here and just run through the choice of accounting software? Yeah, no problem. So thanks for running through the benefits of obviously early adoption of MTD and the changes that are going to be coming through from the 1st of April 2022. Obviously, with that, as a business, you're now going to be left with the choice in terms of what accounting software you want to choose. There's a large list on HMRC's website of lots of providers that do sort of comply with MTD, but it's important that you choose the right one that benefits your business. And getting that choice right can mean that you save your business lots of time and money. Particular emphasis on the time. I can't tell you the amount of conversations I've had with customers that have said they can't believe they spent that much time doing sort of repetitive tasks that can be automated. So particularly when making that accounting software choice, it's always good to take a bit of time to research the markets. Modern businesses, the accounting software is very simple and straightforward now, and it's particularly designed for people who aren't accountants. So when I first started as an accountant about 7 years ago, the software of choice was sort of Sage Line 50, which was a desktop-based application. But now you're seeing, I imagine you've seen lots of adverts for QuickBooks Online, Sage Cloud Accounting, and also Xero. The reason for that is these softwares are mainly built for business owners, so the people that run the business, as opposed to people like me who are sort of trained formal accountants. So that means you're sort of in a position, and it's a lot more advantageous to you now that the software is built for you to use more so than me. So that's quite a big one and quite useful when considering that right choice for the accounting software. The systems are built to suit businesses of all sizes. So you've got anywhere from your sole traders right up to your larger incorporated companies. Just a quick point, there are guidelines in terms of number of transactions. If you go above a certain number of transactions, sometimes on cloud accounting software, the reports can slow, but normally those are in the tens of thousands per month. So if you're a really, really, really large business, then it can be useful to sort of double check that you don't go over those limits. But for the general sort of small to medium sized businesses, the cloud accounting software can handle pretty much every type of business. And as the PowerPoint slide says, every organisation has got its specific needs, but businesses should ensure that the software sort of ticks the following boxes. So number one is that it automatically calculates the tax that you owe. That's including your VAT and also your payroll tax. So that's instead of the traditional method as coming to the end of the month and then thinking, okay, now I need to work out how much I owe the VAT man. Whereas with a cloud accounting software, you'll know each day what your VAT liability is because it calculates it straight away. Sort of point two is cloud accounting software pulls transaction data straight from the bank, straight from invoicing software or a point of sale system, so like a till system. And that's probably one of the biggest winners for me, is that it can pull transaction data straight from the bank. So what happens there is it creates the shell of the transaction in the cloud accounting software. So it gives you the date, the narration, and either the paid amount or the received amount. And then all you have to do is tell the cloud accounting software what that transaction's for. So is it a customer receipt? Is it a purchase payment? Is it a bank charge, a tax payment? So the amount that you have to do is much, much less than on traditional accounting systems. Because all you have to do really is just tell it where to send it into the system as opposed to create the transaction from fresh. Step three, or sort of point three, is that cloud accounting software should update transactions every day. So that when you log in, you've got the freshest bank transactions, so you can stay on top of what the customers owe you, what you owe your payables. It just gives you a better idea, because live data is key for making big decisions in your business. It's no point relying too heavily on old accounts from last year, because that doesn't really give a live position of where you stand in terms of what you owe, what you're owed, and how much money you've got to spend. So it is key that your cloud accounting software updates transactions every day. And the fourth point is that it creates a digital record of paper receipts. So a lot of cloud accounting software, you can plug in third-party applications that allow you to take photographs of your sort of paper receipts, and then from there, the third-party app will read that receipt. It will take out the key information, so date, the merchant, so sort of who the paper receipt relates to. Is it like a fuel receipt or stationery receipts? Take the net and the VAT split, and again, it'll create the shell of that transaction. And then all you have to do at the end point is, again, just tell the cloud accounting software where to post it. So, is it a fuel receipt? Is it a motor cost? Is it an advertising spend? So again, the amount that you have to do in terms of output is reduced massively when you choose the right accounting software. So those are the key sort of points on that slide. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Xero. So Xero is one of the cloud accounting softwares. It was founded in 2006. They've got now 3 million subscribers, and it does lead the cloud accounting market in New Zealand, Australia, and the UK. You may have seen some adverts, because the cloud accounting market in the UK is getting quite competitive now. So you might have seen adverts from, I know I've seen QuickBooks Online, Sage Business Cloud Accounting, and also Xero. So there's quite a bit of competition in terms of cloud accounting software in the UK. But in particular, we at Sempar use Xero quite a lot. We do find it's software that does tailor itself to customers' needs quite well. It's very, very user friendly. And some of the key points there, everything is in one place. So you can see your invoices, contacts, and accounts online. So as long as you've got an internet connection and a device such as a smartphone, laptop, PC, you can sort of connect in and see everything fresh and live sort of straight away. You can also collaborate in real time, and it's true collaboration. So what you can do is you can invite users into the company. So that can be employees who need to work on data, or your advisor, and you can both work together at the same time. You can look at invoices that you can both be looking at the same invoices, working on the same piece of work, and it will update immediately once you've sort of processed an invoice. So there's no duplication of invoice numbers, there's no duplication of tasks. You can sort of invite your advisor in and get that support live straight away. Again, third point, you can connect to your bank. We've mentioned before, one of the key benefits is that the bank will send data through to Xero. so that you're left with doing very, very little in terms of bank reconciliation. And you can also customize to suit your needs. So as I was talking earlier about third-party applications that plumb into Xero, I was talking about a purchase invoice, making purchase invoices much faster. But that also extends to inventory systems, so you can connect third-party inventory systems to allow you to track your inventory movements, whether you've reduced inventory or increased inventory. You can also plumb in EPOS systems. So those sort of till systems you see now in supermarkets. They used to be the old Barclaycard terminals, but now you've got lots of different EPOS providers, so like Clover, Square, Good Till Company. There's lots of different applications that tie into Xero, which means that the data that card company collects gets pumped into Xero for you. So again, the amount of work you have to do is reduced massively. So it's important that you make the right choice. And as I say, Xero is probably one of the best ones out there. But instead of talking about it, what I thought I'd do is do a quick mini demo of Xero. Now, normally when we do Xero training sessions, they tend to take about 2 to 3 hours. So I'm going to try and rattle through it in about 15 to 20 minutes. So if Elodie, would you mind just stopping sharing so I can just quickly share my screen? So you should be able to see the Xero dashboard. What I've done is I've logged into my demo company. So when you get a Xero subscription, you also get a free demo company license. The benefit of that is it's referred to as a sandbox. So you can play around with new features of Xero. In here, you can sort of post new transactions and delete transactions, and that's your demo company to deal with however you please. So you can sort of test out new features, or just make a mess and delete everything. But it's your choice on how you use that demo company. And just a quick point about Xero. So it's a cloud accounting software. So as long as you've got an internet connection, you don't need to download anything. It works off any browser, Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer. It works perfectly on each of those browsers. And because it's a cloud accounting software, you don't need to process any updates. So I know with desktop-based systems, you might have to log everyone out and process an update and then run it on everyone's system. Whereas in Xero, as soon as you log in, you know that you're on the latest version with the latest features. So that's again one of the benefits of cloud accounting software. Now, with Xero, when you first log in, you get taken to the dashboard. The dashboard essentially gives you a brief snapshot of the business. The aim is that as soon as you log in, you get to know your bank balance there. You get to look at any accounts that you've earmarked. So as soon as you log in, you get to know how much you've spent on advertising, entertainment, inventory sales. These are all customizable. But it saves you running a report to find out those figures. You can get them straight away as soon as you log in. You get a quick graph on any invoices owed to you. So if it's the end of the week, it's payday, and you want to start chasing your customers, you can use this graph to sort of speed that up to see how old your debts are, and in particular, look at those ones that are in the older column to sort of get those fees paid. You've got the similar graph for the bills you need to pay, so that works the other way. And you've also got this nice graph here that shows you cash in and out. So most reports work on an accrual basis, so invoice dates, whereas this one here works solely on when did you receive cash and when did you pay cash. That gives you an idea on seasonality in the business, so you can see which months are particularly tough for your business, so you can start to plan, make sure you've got some cash reserves for those sort of spend heavy months. So that's the dashboard, just gives you a brief snapshot of the business. What I'll run through now is posting a sales invoice. We'll go through the key transactions, so posting a sales invoice, posting a purchase invoice, bank reconciliation, then I'll touch on the reports right at the end. So sales invoices, just go to business and invoices. Now this will show me all the sales invoices. I can filter this sort of view down here to show me draft invoices, any invoices that are awaiting approval. So if I've created an invoice and I want someone else to check it for me, I can get them to approve it. And any invoices that are awaiting payment. So those invoices that still haven't been paid yet. But to create a new invoice, let's go on new invoice. And I'll just quickly work my way through this. So I'm going to give it to ABC Furniture. I'm going to set the due date for 31 days. The invoice number is sequential, so it just adds on the next invoice number straight away. I can add an optional reference if I'm working on a certain site or location. Quick description. And you can see there the invoice is starting to be filled out. I can add generic text at the bottom of each invoice. So I could say, thank you for your custom. It doesn't need to have any values attached to it. It can just be a standalone message, doesn't need any quantities or unique prices. And once I'm happy with that sales invoice, I can approve it. What you can also do as well is you can actually, if you've got a repeat customer, you can copy invoices forward. So you can take an older invoice, if it's filled with lots of information that's sort of specific to that customer, you can copy that invoice forward. So I've got invoice options, I can copy that invoice forward to sort of save again on that data entry. So you can see how once you add those features together, you can save yourself quite a bit of time. And what you can notice here is there's a button here that says online payments. This particular invoice is set up so that if I print PDF, for example, you'll get to see what the invoice gets to see, what the customer gets to see, sorry. You can see here there's a view and pay online now button. So what this particular demo company's done, it's connected these 3 payment services to its invoices so that when the customer clicks that link, they get the option now, this big green pay now button, really inviting. So the customer gets that. They see the invoice and they can pay that invoice live straight away. And what Xero have said is that customers that use this sort of payment service feature as part of the invoices tend to see their debtor days reduced quite a bit. So not only can you send your invoices sort of through the internet, you can also receive payment through the internet as well. So it's a nice integrated system. So it's all in one place, and it makes that collection of the customer money a lot easier. And yeah, so if I just go back now to the invoice page, business invoices, you also get a update here of whether the invoice has been sent to the client or not. So again, you can send invoices straight to the customer. You don't need to print them off and wait for the postman to collect the post. You can just literally send it through the internet via an email address, and the customer will get that. And then you also get to know whether or not they viewed it. So if I click into an invoice here, go on show history, I can see here it was created, it was approved, an invoice was sent. And once the customer actually looks at the invoice, it will pop up again. It will say that the customer's viewed the invoice. So you get a nice clear audit trail of when it was created, approved, when it was sent, and then also when the customer views it. So if you have a problem with a late paying customer and they say their email address is playing up and they haven't viewed the invoice, you can just refer to this history, and you can sort of prove that they have. So it's quite useful to have this audit trail at the bottom of each invoice. So that's posting a sales invoice, very straightforward. Again, you can send it via email. You can print PDF and do it the old-fashioned way, send it snail mail, or you can use the online payments feature and, like I say, get customers to pay their invoices online. And also you can copy invoices forward to sort of even speed up the data entry again, just by copying information forward. So lots of useful features there to speed up that data entry. And that's what it's all about. With cloud accounting software, one of the big things is that it can save you a lot of time. If it is that you're doing repetitive tasks again and again, you might find that cloud accounting software can sort of speed that up a little bit. So that's the sales invoice side of things. Purchase invoices work in exactly the same way. So again, you go to the purchase invoice screen, you've got new bill. If you click new bill, you can create that from scratch. So that's one way of creating new bills. You can fill that out like I did with the sales invoice, so I'm not going to go through that again. But another way is because a purchase invoice is a transaction that's already happened, that paper receipt is just proof that the transaction happened. Whereas with a sales invoice, you have to create that from fresh. The transaction's not happened yet, so you have to create it from fresh. But with a purchase invoice, you're sort of duplicating that paper receipt just in Xero. So instead of posting it this way, what we recommend is that you use a third-party application to speed up that data entry of purchase invoices. So what you can do is take a photo of your physical receipts. The third-party application will read that receipt, It will take out the date. It will take out the net VAT split. It will take out the key information from that bill. And then all you're left to do is just tell that third-party application in Xero where to post it in the system. You know, is it a fuel spend? Is it an advertising spend? Is it a telephone bill? Is it a utility bill? And the benefit of that is once you've posted that first time, it will remember for the next time. So if you've got a regular bill coming in, a great example is utilities. They come in on a regular basis. If you tile that third-party application, that invoice scanning app, what it is that first time, it will remember for the next time. So the next time you take a photo of that receipt, it will remember, it will auto allocate it. And then all you'll have to do is just say that you're happy with the third-party application's processing of it. And that will send it through into Xero. And then in Xero, what's even better is in the actual purchase bill, you'll get a copy of the photo that you took stored and digitized, and it will be attached to the transaction, so that if you wanted to look back at previous bills for your utilities, you can actually search in Xero. It's disabled in the demo company, but you can search for anything in Xero. You can search for that transaction, bring it up, and bring up the digital copy of that paper receipt that you took a photo of. So it takes away that need of having to store those paper receipts for, I think it's 7 years now. You don't need to do that anymore. As long as you use an invoice scanning app and digitize that receipt and attach it to the transaction in Xero, HMRC are more than happy to work on that basis. And they don't need to see the physical receipts anymore. They're happy with the digital copy. So again, that's another big time-saving feature in sort of cloud accounting software. So once you've posted all your sales invoices, once you've posted all your purchase invoices, you're then left to just reconcile the bank. And we were talking earlier about bank feeds, about how you connect your bank to Xero, and then the bank sends the information across, and it creates the shell of the transaction. So if I go to reconcile 29 items, the screen gets split into two sections. So the left-hand side is what the bank has imported. So these are actual transactions that have passed through the demo company bank accounts. And on the right-hand side is essentially what we want to do with the transaction. So you can see here that there's some transactions are green. So what Xero does, it does most of the heavy lifting for us. In this particular example, this Ridgeway University bill, there's a receipt of 618,750. Now Xero's cleverly and quite kindly matched that to an existing customer invoice. It said, I can see a match here. I can see that there's an invoice outstanding for 618,750. I can see a receipt of 618,750. I'm gonna go ahead and make the assumption that they're linked. So it allows you to do a couple of things. It allows you to mark that invoice as paid, and also reconcile this transaction as being dealt with. So if I click OK, that's dealt with now. That invoice is no longer shown as outstanding on my system because I know it's been paid, and it's also marked that transaction as bank reconciled. So it speeds up. So I didn't need to search through my whole list of invoices to find that. It did it for me. So it makes that bank reconciliation much easier. And you can also match one payment against multiple invoices. So for example, Smart Agency, I know it's dealing with, it's paying off multiple bills. So if I type in Smart, that'll filter my responses down to just two. It's these two here. Again, I tick them both. You can see that them two totals there. These are two purchase invoices. Them two purchase invoices match the supplier payments. Click OK. And again, those two purchase invoices are no longer shown as outstanding. We know they've been paid off, and that transaction has been marked as bank reconciled. We don't need to deal with that anymore. And it just makes that reconciling of the bank much easier. It also means you can't miss any transactions. If you haven't dealt with the transaction, it's going to be sitting in this reconcile screen waiting for you to sort of to deal with it. So it makes that sort of bank reconciliation much quicker. And you can find that this element, the sort of transaction turning green, is quite a large time saver. And you'd run through that, and this updates every day as well. So you log in the next day, there's more transactions, you deal with them. And the idea is that you try and keep on top of this, so the information in Xero is as live as it can be. So once you've done all that, once you've processed all your bank payments, that means the reports are as up to date as they can be. So when you go into accounting and look at your reports, your accounting reports there, you can then start to look at the VAT return. Now, in the demo company, the VAT return is disabled, so you can't make any payments to HMRC for demo company VAT return figures. So instead, what I've done is I've taken a screenshot of a client that I've worked on. So in Xero, for example, once you're connected to HMRC for MTD, you'll get this screen when you run that accounting and VAT return report. It shows you that the connection to HMRC is live. It gives you an idea about the change in hospitality VAT rate. So it gives you an idea of when that's going to end and when it starts from. This bit here shows you if there's any amounts owing to HMRC. Hopefully not. Hopefully once your returns sort of filed, you set up for direct debit, you should be paid automatically. And then the bit down here is just showing you which returns are outstanding. So again, this information comes live from HMRC.
Brad, sorry, I don't think the screen is showing.
Right, sorry.
Yeah, the share screen option.
Yeah, that's fine. I can just quickly. How's that look? Is that better? Yeah, perfect. So I'll just run through that again. Sorry, I think I switched screens. So yeah, top bit shows you any changes in HMRC's VAT rate. So that's quite useful if you're in the hospitality industry. Just a reminder that rate is reduced. So you've got a bit of a financial gain there. The second bit there is any live VAT information from HMRC. Gives you an idea of if there's anything refunded to you or if you owe HMRC any money. Again, that should be nil where it can be if you set up for a direct debit. It also gives you an idea on if there's any VAT services unavailable. That's useful if it's around deadline day and you're looking to submit your VAT return and HMRC have got a planned outage. Now, normally HMRC are quite good. They tend to schedule maintenance in the early hours of the morning, but it's useful to keep that in mind that sometimes the service is down. So you can use a screen to sort of check that before you submit the return. And this bit here, this very bottom bit, shows me any outstanding live VAT returns that need submitting. So it tells me the dates that need submitting for. So these are monthly returns for this client because he's getting VAT refunds. It tells me when the return is due for submission. It gives me the countdown there and also gives me the date of submission that needs to be, well, the date that needs to be submitted by. And that is the screen that's in Xero. So once you connect to for MTD and you connect that to Xero, that information populates every day and it's live data. And what I'll do is I'll quickly switch. I'll just think. And then what you should see now is a list of my completed VAT returns as well. So what that also shows is not only any live VAT returns that are up and coming, but also any VAT returns I've submitted recently to HMRC. So I get an idea of the trends. So in this particular business, he's doing quite well. He's getting lots of refunds from HMRC, so he's doing pretty well there. And again, that's a benefit of the MTD system. All that information populates live from HMRC, then sort of fills my screen, so I get a full, accurate picture of my VAT account with HMRC. And that's a very, very quick demo of Xero. There's lots of features I've not gone over because I'm conscious of time, but that's the bare bones of Xero, really. There's a lot of other features that make it a great choice for accounting software. So just bear that in mind. What I'm going to do now is exit the share. So stop sharing for a moment so Eludia can take back control. And then if we just run through the MTD roadmap, Eludia. Perfect. So it's just that next slide. Perfect. Yeah. So those are the proposed dates for the changes or the updates to MTD. Now, on that far left hand side, the very first of April 2019. Some of you who are more familiar with MTD may know that April 2019 date was actually pushed back from an earlier date. I think there was a change in the government at the time. There was a snap election, so that date was pushed back. So it's important to note that these dates are proposed, but they aren't truly set in stone. But if we aim to work towards those dates, then it gives you the advantage that you're ahead of the curve. Just a quick question there. Charlie Houston Brown. I'll leave those till the end if that's okay, Charlie, and we'll come back to those if that's okay. Yeah, so starting at the start, April 2019, that was when MTD VAT was introduced, and it was mandatory for any VAT registered business with a taxable turnover of more than 85k. So essentially, it was any VAT business that was mandated to be VAT registered. They were captured in that first lot of MTD rollout. The second date is April 2022. That refers to obviously the date that's up and coming. So now all VAT registered businesses are captured. So those are the ones that are voluntarily registered. So if it's beneficial for them to be VAT registered, but they're under the threshold, they now get captured under that, and they'll need to be MTD compliant by the 1st of April 2022. April 2024 is MTD ITSA, which is a fantastic acronym. So it's income tax and self-assessment, that is. So it'll be mandatory for any unincorporated business, so it excludes limited companies, and it's for the self-employed and those with income from property. Now, it'll only apply to those with turnover from self-employment plus gross rental income over £10,000. That's quite a small limit, so that'll capture most self-employed people. I can't imagine there's that many self-employed people who have a full-time self-employment that are earning less than £10,000 in total for a year. So that'll capture most unincorporated businesses. And then the very last date is 2026, which is quite a way away, and that's MTD corporation tax. So the government are aiming to provide businesses with an opportunity to take part in a pilot for MTD for corporation tax, but it won't be mandated before 2026. So by that time, every single tax will be on this MTD platform. So you get your VAT, income tax and self-assessment, and then also finally your corporation tax. And the aim there for HMRC is to obviously capture all sort of tax information digitally, so they get an accurate picture of how much they're owed each year from customers, instead of waiting for a self-assessment form at the end of the year. But those are the dates as they stand today. As I said, that very first at April 2019, I remember when I first started being an accountant, that date got pushed back and back. So these dates aren't set in stone, but those are the dates we've got thus far. So just bear those in mind. And obviously, the sooner you prepare, it just means it just gives you an advantage that you don't have to deal with sort of fighting fires right up until the deadline date. If you can get ahead of the curve, that gives you a massive advantage from an admin point of view. So I think that concludes pretty much the content. As you can imagine, there's a lot of information. It's changing all the time with the political situation. So given the number of challenges facing small businesses, it can be easy to place a new digital scheme at the bottom of your priorities. But now is a perfect time to sort of make that choice about which accounting software is the right one for you, and getting sort of ahead of the curve in terms of adopting Making Tax Digital. So at Sempar, our sort of goal and vision is to lead businesses through the digital evolution. We've got quite a clear focus on helping businesses through use of technology to improve processes, to make their lives much easier, much more efficient, cost effective by using creative technology. So if there's if you need any support with MTD VAT, obviously you can speak to your advisors. But if you want any additional information on the back of this PowerPoint presentation, please do get in touch with our tech team. We've got the phone number there and also the email address. We'll be happy to take any inquiries. But yeah, I think that concludes the presentation. I think there's another slide that says any questions, which I know we've got one or two. One says, don't think we've seen your screen. The second one, does Xero cope with multi-company? What's the position regarding licensing costs for multi-company, please? So it does deal with multi-companies in that you will need to set up a subscription for each Xero company. So if you've got 2 trading companies, you will need 2 Xero subscriptions. And what happens is they'll be linked to your one email address. So you'll use your one email address, so charlie@charlie.co.uk, and it'll be linked to that email address. So once you log in with that username, you'll get the choice to log into either the first trading company or the second trading company. There's no limit in terms of the amount of Xero subscriptions you can hold under one email address. So yeah, so it does cope with multi-companies in terms of Group companies, yeah, it does deal with that. In terms of consolidations, you have to use third-party applications to consolidate group data. So if you were trying to add turnover from company 1 to company 2, you couldn't necessarily do that in Xero, but you can use Xero's reports to export the data into, say, for example, Excel, and then consolidate it there. Or you can use third-party applications like, I think there's one called DataDeer that allows you to extract data from Xero and combine it very, very quickly. So it doesn't do it inherently, but it does do it. There is workarounds in terms of exporting to Excel, which is quite a universal software. Lou, do you want to take the question on the cost of Xero, if that's okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of cost, so there's 3 different types of subscriptions. They have the starter, which is kind of for your micro companies, where you've only got kind of limited transactions. I think it only supports 20 invoices, certain number of bills and bank transactions. So that kind of starts at £12 per month. You've got your standard subscription, which is at £26 a month, which pretty much deals with everything that Bradley's kind of gone through. It's got all the features. The only thing that doesn't have is the multi-currencies functionality. So that's where the premium subscription comes in at £33 a month, that deals with everything on the standard subscription plus multi-currencies. Any other questions from anybody? Again, if you kind of come away and there's other things that you'd like to know in terms of Xero, if it is that everything is still manual from your end and you want to start your digital journey, we've got an in-house tech team that can support you with that. We did put the contact details on the previous slides, so if you've got any further questions following this, just call us or send us an email and we will get back to you ASAP.
I've just got one question.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying like the third-party company that does the that you photograph your receipts.
Mm-hmm.
If all your receipts are coming in sort of digitally, do you just set that up with it as well? So
yeah, absolutely. So if most of your supplier invoices kind of come in via email, you can easily just forward it to the third-party app. And then there's lots of different ways you can send invoices to a third-party kind of application, and then it will then like start reading the data once it's in. So it can do that as well for you, but you've got an option to also manually add that yourself. So if you didn't want to use a third-party software, you can just type in all the details from those invoices and then attach the digital copy manually. But again, it all depends on the time that you've got in your business. If you've got time to obviously manually process and manually attach, you can do, or you can use a third-party software to save you more time and money, really, so you can just focus on growing your business.
It seems quite unusual that it doesn't have its own software to do that, and then it would be like the complete package.
Yes, no, it has got its own. It has got its own kind of functionality to be able to do that. It's just a bit limited in terms of kind of what it can process. So again, there's depending on what your business needs is, it might be that might be enough. The kind of data, the feature that they've got within the software might be enough for you. But again, it all depends on the business size and the business needs. So there's a lot of kind of different applications in the marketplace that can deal with that side of things. So it just depends on what you need, really.
Yeah. Okay. Just to touch on what Olivia said, the Xero's inherent solution, so the invoice scanning, is called HubDoc. But as Olivia said, it is quite limited in terms of what it can process. So we always tend to recommend sort of specialized apps in that industry. And just a quick point in terms of what you were saying about dealing with those digital invoices that come in digitally via email. With most invoice scanning apps, what you can do is you'll get a unique email address, and then all you need to do is forward any bills that come in via email to that unique email address, and they will get captured by the software. So that's how that works.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any further questions from anybody else?
As Eludia said, if you do have any questions, you can easily contact the guys that have been speaking today. So thank you, Eludia, James and Bradley. And thank you everyone for attending.